Hey guys, it's Steve. Welcome back to another Barbecue Bros video. So I'm going to be continuing the pit barrel cooker series today, and we're going to be smoking a brisket. So let's go ahead and get started. All right guys, so we're gonna go ahead and get started prepping our brisket here. So I have a 6-pound brisket flat that I picked up at my local Sam's. The price of beef is absolutely ridiculous right now. This was about $6.80 a pound. So this 6-pound brisket was about 40 bucks. Typically I like to try to find a larger flat if I can. This was actually the biggest one they had. What I wanted to show you though was this brisket actually, for my taste, is perfect because it just has a real thin little fat cap on it. So you can see there, I mean, that's maybe like 1/8 of an inch. And you don't really have a lot of that hard fat on here. So sometimes you'll get a brisket and it'll have a pretty thick fat cap. And in that case, I would trim it down to about this thickness right here. I like to leave a little bit of the fat on there. And you know, all I really do is just take a knife and just kind of score the fat just a little bit, just so some of the rub can penetrate. And do it a little cross pattern like this. Don't have to go too crazy at all with this. Go ahead and wash my hands. Okay, now all I do is I just take some cheap yellow mustard, and we're gonna get a nice little coat on both sides. This is gonna be our binder for our rub. Okay, and lastly what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Pit Barrel beef and game rub. So what's cool about the Pit Barrel is when it arrives on your front door, it comes with the this beef and game, and then they have an all-purpose rub that's really good as well. So this is gonna go really well with this brisket, so we're just gonna go ahead and give a liberal coating to all sides. Okay, so we've got our brisket nice and rubbed down on all sides. Lastly, we're gonna take one of the stainless steel meat hooks. Now, depending on the size of your brisket, you know, whether you're doing a smaller flat like this or an actual full-size packer brisket, will kind of determine on how many hooks you need to use. For this smaller flat that we're working with today, I'm just going to be using one of the hooks, and I'm going to go with this thicker point over here, and I just want to go straight through the meat and then pull it all the way up, and there you go. So that thing's just going to sit there and hang on the rebar, and that's all you got to do. You just got to use one. It's as easy as that. So this thing is ready for the pit barrel. All right guys, I've got the pit barrel cooker fired up here. Check out my video on the Boston butt. I go into a lot more detail on how to fire this thing up. But basically we've got our charcoal basket down in the bottom with a couple nice chunks of peach wood. And we've got our 2 rebars installed, and we're just gonna go ahead and shut the lid. And then we'll be back in about 10-15 minutes to go ahead and hang our brisket. All right guys, it's been about 15 minutes. Our peach wood chunks are smoldering nicely. So we've got our gorgeous looking brisket here. And there we go, we're just gonna hang it right there on the rack. And go ahead and get this lid shut. This is my first brisket on the pit barrel. So I'm probably gonna check on it in about 3 hours. The idea here is we're gonna cook it up to an internal temp of around 160 and then foil it. So we'll be back. All right, we're just gonna take our little hook tool here, and you can see how easy it is just to grab this off without getting burned. We're gonna lift it straight out and take it over to our floor. Okay, so what I like to do is I take 2 large sheets of heavy duty aluminum foil. What I do is I just add a little bit of water. You really don't need to go too crazy with this. You just want a little bit of liquid in here to kind of let this steam and kind of just help continue to just tenderize this brisket. Some people like to use beef broth. You can also use a dark beer. I've done both of those. Those work really well. But you just need some type of liquid, and so water works just fine. So we're just gonna go ahead and get this wrapped up, this first sheet. Pull this over, And what I like to do is, you're noticing I'm not really foiling it too tightly, because I want some of that steam to be able to get out of there so it doesn't turn our bark to mush. Oh, and I almost forgot. I need to go ahead and get my temperature probe in here. Right there. Okay, so back over here at the pit barrel, what we're gonna do is remove our 2 rebar real quick. And then we're gonna get our grate installed, just like that. Okay, then we're gonna set our brisket right there on the grate. And then we're gonna install both of our rebar again. Again, these rebars are meant to remain installed because these act as the ventilation up top. So the little gaps in the holes between the rebar is how these guys designed this unit. So you want to keep those in while you're cooking. And then we're just going to get the lid back on. So I'm going to be monitoring this from inside while I'm watching some football. And it's probably only going to take another hour or so, and it'll be ready to put this thing in a cooler. All right, guys, it has been 1 more hour. My Maverick is reading out at about 203. So I went ahead and took the lid off, opened up the foil here, and I'm going to go ahead and take a few more readings with my Thermopen in a couple different areas. You can see there 205. It's right at 199. 205. This thing is definitely done. 204 over there. So 4 hours total cook time on this 6-pound brisket, and this thing is done. So important thing we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and pull this. We're going to keep it in the foil, but we're going to put it in a cooler. All right, here we go, guys. So I let the brisket rest about 3 hours. It's time to eat. And what it is, I took it out of the foil, and I like to use the juice from the foil for kind of like just a serving sauce. So I just put that in a container and I'll serve that to our guests. So you always want to make sure you cut against the grain. And we're just going to go ahead and cut into a couple slices right here. Man, this thing is just going through this thing like butter. Let me go ahead and show you that. Check that out. Watch this, it's just going to tear right apart. Look how tender that is. Oh my gosh. Wow. That has so much flavor on it. Gosh, that came out so good. Nice little bark. Again, check this out. Watch how tender that is. It's just tearing straight apart. Tons of juice in it. That is a good brisket. I'm so stoked on this pit barrel cooker. So fairly straightforward. Brisket cooked just 4 hours for this 6-pound brisket flat. Hope you guys are enjoying the series. I'm really impressed. Check out the links in the video description. And thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again soon.